Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for this technical assistance session related to the desk audit that you all just received. My name is Dr. Otis Reed Jr., and I am an Ed Associate at the Department of Education in the Office of Emergency Programs. The purpose of the desk audit and anything that we do in the program and monitoring team is related to monitoring of your ESSER programs. As you see here on the slide, this is the uniform guidance that gives the Department of Education the responsibility to monitor your ESSER spending and your ESSER programs. For the purpose of this presentation, we will be talking about the monitoring of your ESSER programs. So please keep that in mind as we go through the presentation. So again, I'm going to stress that we are focusing on programs and not spending. Here are a few other guidelines related to the desk audit. We're looking at your implemented programs as of June 30th, 2023, which was the same guideline that was used for the self-assessment that you recently submitted to us. Please provide thorough responses with adequate corresponding documentation. Your responses and your documentation will be reviewed by us for accuracy based on the spending plans and the self-assessments that were approved and reviewed by us. We're asking you for the desk audit to upload documentation as one PDF file, and we will talk more about that in a few minutes. Some of you may still be wondering, what do we consider to be implemented programs? Here are some guidelines to think about when determining which programs have been implemented, which are the same guidelines that were used for the self-assessment. When we say that a program is implemented, we're looking for programs that are in motion and where you have started the process. For a program to be implemented, you are working toward the completion of the project deadline. However, completion may not have been achieved yet. We're not looking for your programs to be completed. We're looking to see how far along you are in the implementation of your programs. Those completed programs do count as implemented programs. However, not all implemented programs are complete. Your programs don't have to be complete until September of next year. So you still have some time to achieve the completion of your programs. If the activity began during ESSER 1 or ESSER 2 and is continuing through the ARP ESSER timeframe, then it should be counted as an implemented activity for ARP ESSER. Here are examples of the documentation that you may use for the desk audit. We have three categories of documentation that you may use. First, dealing with learning loss, and this is a little different than before. We're trying to hone in on how you're measuring the success and the effectiveness of your learning loss plans. And that is very important. So please look at this list. I'm not going to read it word for word, but please look at the list to make sure that you're giving us documentation to support your efforts to measure the success and the effectiveness of your learning loss plans. And that's related to math, ELA, social emotional learning, and other programs in section 1. And we'll talk more about that. Then in the middle of the table, we have documentation to show implementation of the activities that you have planned for your 15 categories, your 15 allowable categories. So there is a difference. When it comes to the 15 allowable categories, we want evidence to show implementation. For the learning loss portion of your desk audit, we want evidence to show how you're measuring success and effectiveness of your programs. And then the last section, the LEA information, there's a list there to show us the documentation that is acceptable. This is not a complete list. If there are other pieces of documentation that you have that could show us what we're looking for, we invite you to use it. So looking at the first section, activities to address learning loss, it looks a little different than the self-assessment, and it also looks a little different than the desk audit that was used last year. For those of you who did the desk audit last year, it is a little different this time. This time we did not break it down into the four components of the learning loss portion of the of your ARP ESSER plan. We want it all in one area this time. So we're asking you to make a detailed list of all the implemented activities and strategies that you have implemented or that you have planned for your 20% set aside funds to address learning loss. Only the programs and activities that were listed in that 20% set aside funding on your spending plan should be used here. There is a learning loss portion in the 15 allowable categories, and there is a mental health portion for your 15 allowable categories, but those plans should not be included here. We're only looking for the plans that you listed on your spending plan or the activities that you have listed on your spending plan to address that 20% required set aside funding. We want a complete list of all the implemented activities in that area. We want a complete list of all of the unimplemented activities for that area. Then we're going to ask you, did you measure the success and the effectiveness of those activities? And when your answer is yes, we want you to upload the documentation to support that. Please upload your documentation, although it will be one file, one PDF file. We want you to please upload it in the order of your list that you gave us. So your documentation should correspond to the list that you gave us. That will help us to be a little more efficient in reviewing your desk audit. The next section deals with the 15 allowable categories. We have one example here. The question asks, did the LEA implement activities under the ESEA, the IDEA, the AEFLA, and the Perkins Act? If your answer is yes, you will have follow-up questions, as you see here on the slide. If your answer is no, there will be no other questions to answer for that category, and you will go on to the next category. We're asking again for a detailed, numbered, or bulleted list of the activities that have been implemented for that category. Then we ask you to upload your file of your documentation. And again, we'd like your documentation to correspond to the list. Please upload the documentation in the same order. And then we ask, did the LEA have strategies and activities that have not been implemented for this category? And if your answer is yes, as you see here on the slide, we're asking you for a detailed list of the non-implemented activities for that category. Please, again, give us a numbered or bulleted list. And the final section deals with the local education agency information. There are 4 questions in this section, which is less than the amount that were on the self-assessment. There were 8 on the self-assessment. So the first question asks, has the LEA been audited by Audit Services of the South Carolina Department of Education concerning ESSER funds? If your answer is yes, you have follow-up questions again. And in this section, your answer may be no for some questions, and you may still have follow-up questions. So please take the time to answer all questions that are asked of you. If your answer is yes for this question, we want a brief description of the findings of the audit. We ask that you upload a copy of the corrective action plan, if there is one. And then we ask you to tell us the steps of the corrective action plan that have already been implemented. So please do that for us. And when your desk audit is complete, you will get this message to let you know that your submission has been received by us. And we thank you so much for taking the time to give us that submission. If you have any questions related to the desk audit, the self-assessment, or anything related to program monitoring, please send us an email at scesser@ed.sc.gov. Again, thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a great day.